Okay, we're gonna begin. We will begin as our team is adjusting the computer inside. So let us begin by listening to this message by Emmanuel. Ill will, which is the opposite of goodwill. Opposite. Goodwill, ill will. He says, quoting Paul, who wrote a letter to the Ephesians, and in this letter he said, have nothing to do with the useless deeds of darkness. Ill will leads to darkness. Darkness fosters stagnancy. Stagnancy preserves evil. Evil enthrones idleness. Idleness creates discord. Discord awakens pride. Pride awakens vanity. Vanity stirs up happy passions. Base passions lead to a lack of discipline. Lack of discipline keeps the heart hardened. Hardness of heart imposes spiritual blindness. Spiritual blindness leads to the abyss. Surrendering to the unfruitful endeavors of incomprehension through simple ill will, human beings can roll indefinitely toward the abyss of darkness. Since our children are here with us, it's such an important message for everyone, and it's fair that we break it down in other words. When we don't have the will to do the good, Emmanuel says that we immediately connect to darkness, to laziness, and laziness leads us to discord. Discord leads us to pride, vanity, and then spiritual blindness, and then we are in hot waters. We are in trouble. So it's good to be willing to do the good. That's the message. So who is willing to do the good? Raise your hand. Both hands. I don't want to be in darkness. Do you? We don't. Shoo darkness. No, thank you. We want to do the good. So we're going to begin with our prayer, because praying is an action of the good. Believe it or not, it seems nothing is happening. But I know a scientist in Pennsylvania. He used to be at Penn State, and now he's at Thomas Jefferson. He's very bright, Andrew Newberg. He was the first scientist ever in the world, here in America, to prove to us that when we pray, things happen in our brain. It's very tangible. It looks like nothing is happening, but it is. It gives us health. It gives us open mind, open heart. Our lives transform. So let us pray to exercise this. It's an exercise of the good. Okay? Let us feel the presence of God. So good, dear God, to know you exist. And you're so kind to bring us together. We know many people who right now are in nursing homes, no longer in their homes, in hospitals, even children, willing to be home with their families, playing with their friends, going to school, and they can't. We want to pray for them. We want to visualize a basket with remedies to be delivered to them with your kindness. May they receive another opportunity to feel how much they are loved, because we all are. As we are breathing in this healing air that you grant us, We thank you for bringing the Spiritist science to us that gives us strength and new perspective. We see each other as your children, and we understand that by helping others and one another, we in our turn will be helped as well. May this session be deeply empowering as you invite us to join the team of the good on earth, and so be it. All right, so Miss Daisy will take our friends inside. Beautiful lesson, beautiful activities. Be prepared. It's a journey in space today. And Miss Luciana will be there to enjoy. Luciana, I think we can turn on the light. Thank you. It's a thank you. All right. We will begin. Hold on. Oh my, hold on. Sorry, friends. Okay. Can you double check there if it's because I have to? Thank you, Paloma. Here's where we are. Yeah. All right. We're good, right? Oh.
It's showing the same as that.
It is. Yeah. It's okay. There are no notes. The notes are in the book. We're studying action and reaction. A book that is simply phenomenal. Everybody should read. I wish all the children could go to school and study these books. One day they will. They will. Meanwhile, it is on us to do this. This chapter is a continuation of the previous story. So we'll just recap the story we studied last week. True account, because none of this is fiction. These are true accounts. So there was a family, a man of 36, Eudeu. He was married to his wife and had 3 kids, Roberto, and 2 other kids, 2 daughters. And everything was fine after 3 kids. And then one day he met another woman. And she knew he was married, but she didn't care. We'll open a parenthesis, right? Why don't we care about if somebody else is married or not? Because our self-esteem is very low. Because we need to respect people's families, right? And whenever we see somebody who is defying the laws of life, the self-esteem of this person needs help. We all need help. That's why we're here in the center, because we all need to adjust ourselves, to learn. This is a chapter that is teaching all of us so much. But in the previous chapter, we got to know that Eudeu was so blind by this affair that he wanted to get rid of his wife. There are many ways of doing this, and I say, quote unquote, get rid. You can divorce, you can separate, but he was taking the hardest route. He thought of eliminating the life of his wife. He was planning on how to do it. He got a gun. He had the whole plan in his mind. But we think that what we're doing is not seen by anybody. Oh, it is. Before any tragedy happens, the forces of heaven have been in action for a while. In that case, we know that in the spiritual hospital, Silas, Andre Luiz, and Hilario get to know the alarming news that Ildeu wants to eliminate his wife. They were being watched very closely by the spirits in the beyond. And the wife had a lot of merits, and that's important for us to conquer merit to be helped. Sometimes we are in our homes and life seems so plain. And why don't the spirits come and take us away from that environment? Because we need to earn it with our own personal effort. Without ill will, we need to have goodwill. The wife used to pray a lot and teach the children to pray. But her prayers were sincere, not like many of our prayers that are very selfish. Oh, please help me get the promotion. Please help me get the new car. Please help me get the new toy. You know, even children they pray like this, right? The new iPhone. No, not only children. I know stories of people who are grown ups. They are dreaming about the new phone and they think that's so important. They pray that they get, that the husband grants them the new phone, the wife. This is how childish we are. We need to educate our inner child. Stop the repression or the permissiveness. We need to educate the inner child we have in us, saying, come on, you've done this for so many lives. Why do you need to keep being so spoiled even in this life? We need to do it with ourselves. But Ildeu was blind. He had no goodwill towards the family anymore. Well, we know that he was planning, but the good spirits came along. We saw last week that because of the sincere prayers and the sacrifices of the wife, they were granted daily surveillance by the good spirits. The good spirits were there day and night, protecting the family, making sure it was not going to happen. They even recruited good spirits that are usually in the neighborhoods helping. And on the very night that he planned on the crime, they have an action plan. The children are sleeping, and he's about to lock the door of the room to do what he needed to do, he wanted to do. Silas gives passes on one of the children, the girls, and shows the scenario. She thinks it's a dream that the father is pointing a gun to someone, but it's not. He makes her feel awake, and she wakes up screaming out loud, Daddy, Daddy, don't, please don't. And that's when the whole household is awake. It stops the crime. The wife, so devoted, thinks that he wants to kill himself and says, please don't. I would rather let you go than you kill yourself. She barely knows that she was the very target. Many of us materialistics think, oh, she's stupid. He's fooling her. No. He's fooling himself. In the books of God, the person who is of greater will, of goodwill, is always ahead. In the eyes of God, she was ahead. In the eyes of the world, oh, poor her. No, poor her anything. Because in a previous life, they had their story. We don't have time today to go to the story, all the details, but we know why this is happening. In a previous life, They were married. They were married before. But Ildeo has always been this man who didn't educate his forces, his own energies. So he was constantly having affairs. And one day he left the family in that life as well. You see, in this life, he doesn't want to leave and abandon, but he's doing something even worse. In a previous life, he abandoned her with children, and he had his affairs. She remarries to a very good man, and he's having affairs with this, that, and the other. But at some time he gets sick, and where does he go? Back to the wife. But when he comes, he sees that she's remarried and happy. What does he do? He kills the new husband. Their life is not very happy. After that life, they are in this life as a family. He remarries her. Let's try again. He's unfaithful again. And she, instead, is being very devoted. She's not happy, but at the same time, she's thinking about the general good, the children. He doesn't have a good relationship with the firstborn, Roberto. Why? Who is Roberto? The first son. The husband he killed in a previous life. That has a good relationship with the mom. He still doesn't have a good relationship with that man. And he likes the two girls. He is a good father, let's say this way, to the two girls. Who are they? Former lovers of his in a previous life. Now he owes to everybody as a father. That's a sure thing we need to write down. We parents always owe a lot to our children. And our children, because we gave life to them, they always owe to us instead. No wonder the divine law says, honor your parents. And if I don't honor my parents, it's not my parents' problem. Because some children want to torture the parents. No. You're just delaying your own progress by doing so. Because you need to think of your happiness. The other day, a person asked me, oh, if I date this guy, what do you think my parents are going to think? And I said, what they are going to think? You're independent. They are married. They had children. Now it's your problem, not theirs. What do you think if you date this guy? If you'll be in trouble, it's your problem, not your parents' problem. Because they already have their family. They will be sad for you if it doesn't work well, but it's your problem. You're not a child anymore. You don't live with them anymore. You're grown up. You're an adult. So it's not up to them to decide your next relationship. It's up to you. What you do with your life. In this case, friends, we are understanding a little more why we reincarnate. In the Gospel According to Spiritism by Kardec, we have the main books by Kardec there constantly to remind us of the foundation of the Spiritist science, because it's a science to be studied, to illuminate us, to grant us new perspective, new horizon. And in chapter 14, item 9, we have the Spirit Saint Augustine saying, we reincarnate in a family to repair, to make amends. If I have goodwill, I won't be in darkness. I need to open my heart to love. If I don't, I'm not torturing my partner. I'm not torturing my child. I'm not torturing my parent. I'm torturing myself. If I don't have goodwill to love, says Emmanuel today, I'll be in darkness, in spiritual blindness that will lead me to diseases. I'm not doing anybody a favor when I am loving. I'm doing myself a favor. It's about connections. Ildeo has ill will. He doesn't want to love Roberto. He killed the man in a previous life and still he is resented. It shows the level of inferiority of this spirit. He still wants to kill. He still wants to eliminate people. He still doesn't want to love. He doesn't want to control his passions. But his wife, she's sacrificing her ego. When we talk about sacrifice, it's not about the sacrifice of external habits, about the ego, sacrificing and saying, it's okay. How many therapists I know recommend to couples, quit the relationship because he doesn't love you. When you have children, it shouldn't be that easy, right? Because they're more than just us. And in that case, it's about working together. In Spiritism, we would say, you were not put together by chance. That's why this chapter talks about a conversation so deep. Paloma and I prepared this with the help of the mentors, but we have no intention in talking about everything, but we selected a few elements to clarify a few things. First, the fact that it talks about family, sex, relationships. The first question that they address is this relationship between son and mother, which we call Oedipus complex. It's a definition by Freud. And when it's between the daughter and the father, we call it Electra. So how do we understand that? Based on what we know from a previous life, Silas says, as mother and son, Marcella and Roberto, Marcella is the mom, Roberto is the child, could not hide the sympathies they brought from the past to the present. And this is about the affinity, that they like each other. It's easy. We're not talking about a sexual relationship. We're talking about affection and love and how easy it is to go into that relationship. They cannot hide. As Ildeo, the father, Sonia, and Marcia could not escape the predilection that has linked them together since the past. So it's natural. And it's so silly when we see nowadays the mothers who are jealous of how the fathers love their daughter and have a preference, and they feel jealous. No. We are reborn to sublimate that feeling because it's selfishness. That jealousy is selfishness. It's great that they love each other as father and daughter. As it is great when we see that the mom loves the son. We're not saying, oh, play preference, but we understand. But in this life, says Silas, they are under affinities, debts, and they are demanding reparation. Now we need to turn this love into a more sublime love. That's the goal. That's why we are together. If when I was in that position as husband and wife, I didn't love, now we change. Now it's like son and daughter or siblings to grow into that direction. That's the goal. That's why in this chapter, Mentor Silas will explain to us something that Kardec talks about in the Spirit's book, our instinctive tendencies, when he explains that during childhood, We forget the things of the past, but the ego is still in the process of materializing and will express reminiscences, memories of the past, opinions, sympathies, antagonisms through instinctive tendencies that give it a glimpse of the past, which it will begin to activate the brain. What does that mean? Childhood is the best time to go and help somebody be strong for a new habit. Childhood. When we get to adolescence, many files of previous lives are already open. If we don't have a good preparation, the previous life may take over and we repeat the same mistakes of the past, wasting another reincarnation. But this time on earth, we don't have much time any longer. The good spirits will not allow us to allow this reincarnation to go to waste. As Mentor Joseph often says, if we go to the wrong direction, they bring a disease to help us. They bring financial problems to help us. They bring sometimes even natural calamities. Like this pandemic is great help because our society forgot about the importance of family. We're not going to say that during the pandemic people found what they lost, but many people did. And hopefully the ones who did find the importance of it will stimulate it in others. So right now that things are being lifted, the restrictions, many of us are going wild, like, I want to travel. I want to do this because for 2 years I didn't do it. Didn't learn anything. No. It's time to think of people who are suffering, who need help. Because if we go into that direction, this pandemic is not going to go away. As it looks like. Look at Europe. People traveling, mingling, just worsening everything. And here, people refusing the vaccine mandates. We are so stubborn, right? God is teaching us and we don't want the lesson. We want recess. We don't want homework. We're just like children. We blame our children that they don't want homework, that they want recess. They go to school looking forward to recess, but we're just alike. We go to work thinking of vacation. We do our duties thinking of play dates, reunions. And we are not ashamed of thinking so much about ourselves because we think, poor us. And then we justify. Ildeo did the same. He said, I got married too early. I need to enjoy life a little. Wow. That's why in this chapter, a big chunk of it is about sex. A topic people don't want to talk about, but in Spiritism, we talk about everything. And there is a myth. Here, no more. He begins Scylla's instructor telling that creation, life, and sex are the themes that interact in their essence, and they find their origins in the divine wisdom. Often when we do counseling, we tell people who have sexual problems, say, look, remember, you didn't create sex. God did. And they ask, what does that mean? It means don't feel guilty for feeling the push because it's not your creation. But it's on you to educate it. But what is it? What is it that sex is all about? Is it only meant for reproduction? It is for reproduction, of course, but only that? And Scylla says, no. Oh, great. So that means I can use it for pleasure? Well, well, well. We can do anything, but if we should, it's another story. So, sexual force is not only for that. He says to us, sex is a force of love at the foundations of life, encompassing the glory of creation. So, the creative force in us that we name sex, it's to really make us be co-creators. So now we understand when psychoanalysis brought Freud saying that under everything there is this push to creativity, yes. And that's why when we evolve more and more educating ourselves, we'll learn this step that is still foreign to many of us, sublimation. Ennobling our pleasures. This is exactly the expression that the instructor uses. We need to leave the realm of sensations and give it a boost to make us feel noble feelings. How? This is not only the spiritist science. Psychological sciences already point to that direction. If we're having a hard time controlling our sexual forces, what do we do? Sports. Yeah, go for sports, right? High sports, right? And yeah, because Todd has a business on this, so we would recommend for children, send them to sports. Yes, and we do too. And not only that, go and help others. So there is a beautiful excerpt in the 10,000 things that the instructor Silas says, that says to us, let us ennoble our pleasures. The pleasure of helping, the pleasure of discovering. And I know the cynics are like, oh, discovering. No, no, no. Discovering, we're talking about in society, in science, new things. Purifying, in redeeming, illuminating, studying, learning, growing spiritually, constructing. Now, as the leaders of the world are getting together talking about climate change, the youth in the world is sublimating these forces, getting together and pushing. It's great. We need more of this. We need more people in the streets raising awareness about the 10,000 things in this planet, and less texting, less video games, less TV, and more action. Because we have so much creativity, by staying there, we're not going to do anything good. We know the universities and colleges in the United States love when students who apply show that they do a lot of outreach things. But now, they are not only looking what we do, but how that really impacted society. So it's always pushing to another level. And now there are people who are giving workshops to teens, teaching them on how to create impacting outreach programs to really look good at colleges and universities. In some way, we think, oh, it's not good. But you know what? It's by doing these external moves that really people one day will find the pleasure of helping and say, I do it because I like it. Why do you do it? Because I like it. But why? I don't know. It's just in the blood. Meanwhile, those who don't have that pleasure will be pushed by our system, which is great. Awakening these noble feelings. We are a few weeks away from Thanksgiving and just a month and a half from Christmas. It's cold in here. And we tend to think of so many things we can do for ourselves. But that's a good time to take our children and think of those who are less privileged and do something. Not waiting for the Spirit Center to do it, but to do it on our own. When we sit at the comfort of our table to eat at Thanksgiving, knowing the much we do, we cannot indulge and have a full meal without thinking of those who have not. If we're spending much time planning for ourselves alone, we can give ourselves a badge of selfishness. If we want to take that away and change for a badge of compassion and kindness, we really need no longer to go into the temptation of thinking of ourselves alone. So, I have more to share because the chapter is huge, but now we're going to go to two other elements that Paloma brought to us. And before she comes here, I want to share one more thing that I don't have in the slide, but it's in the chapter. When he talks about inversions, and this is in the chapter before Paloma talks about people who prefer not to have to be together but not have children and other things. It's about inversions. He talks about, this is the way Spiritism defines when we are in the body of a woman, but we feel like a man, or vice versa. It's in this chapter. So it's a good reference because the discussion is around the world in the United States, especially the schools. In this chapter, because we are talking about this reincarnation as redemption, Hilario asks, what about the cases of inversion? And they say, when a man goes by one whole life disrespecting women, breaking their hearts, abusing them sexually, as we know many people do, in another life they will reincarnate in the body of a woman to feel in their own skin, and they say to respect women in their own skin. What about women who do the same? They break men's hearts, they disrespect men, they abuse men, because that exists. They will reincarnate in the bodies of men to learn to respect. Is it easy? No, it's what we call expiation. That's why it's torturing. But now it's our chance to either embrace it and do the right thing or repeat the same mess of previous lives. But there is a third case of inversion, of spirits who are more evolved, like Chico Xavier, and it's in the book, explaining that they come in this life, like they came for several lives in the body of women, but now they have a special mission that will require that they be in the body of a man. But they will be celibatarians. I know this chapter is fascinating. It's worth reading on our own and studying it very carefully. Now we go to the two last very important questions that Andre Luiz and Hilario ask, and Paloma will help us break down the answers that were given by Instructor Silas, right, Paloma? Okay, I have to open it. Okay.
So we can
Yeah.
put in present
There.
mode.
Great. Thank you. I'm gonna check.
Yes. Okay, so we are on chapter 15 of the book Action and Reaction, which is focused on this creation force. It is fascinating as he brings to us this idea that we are co-creators with God. And when we co-create with God, part of it is reproduction. It is. It is also about reproduction. And with reproduction, we bring wonderful souls to the world. Spirits. We call them our children, but it's temporary. And then, of course, a central theme in children is family. Hilario and Andre Luiz, like very curious, like we are, ask questions to mentor Silas. And this part, it starts by bringing a topic that is quite common, discussed, especially for us women. They ask, how are we to interpret the attitude of honest and respectable couples who do not want to have children and thus regularly use contraceptives? Big topic. We have religions that says absolutely no contraceptives. Just have children, 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 children. Is that what we're supposed to do? Is that one side of the story? What is the other? Oh, no children at all. Don't want children. And of course, we all have our baggage. Who knows what happened in our prior lives that might make us feel that we are not ready to receive those spirits. What does Mentor Sila tells Hilario and Andre Luiz? 3 things. He says, even if they do not yield the cream of abortion, so even though it's not like they're exterminating a life at that point, in most cases, they are unprepared workers who prefer to avoid sweat in their quest for immediate comfort. It's again this idea of self-sacrifice versus our immediate rewards and pleasure. We recognize that having a family is hard. Whew, it's work. That's why it is self-sacrifice. And that's why we learn that it is where we start our redemption, is within the family. So much so that if we're not able to work within our family, what we do outside of the family, it's hard to believe. It's just a face, one more of our masks that we are wearing. So it is self-sacrifice. We're called to it. We are called as children when we had our parents. And we're called as adults when we bring in children and we have our family. If we don't, because we are afraid, because we remember what it was before, then we're not fulfilling in this reincarnation. We will have to. Point blank. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. The other thing they say, unfortunately, they are only postponing sublime accomplishments to which they will unavoidably have to return. Because these are tasks and struggles in family life that represent the unavoidable price of our regeneration. As we saw on the prior chapter, the story of Marcela and her husband and their children, they had to come back. They had to resolve issues from a prior life where they were also married and that whole family was together. They can't avoid it. Marcela, even though she didn't have the conscious memory of her past life, she took the redemption work. She was fulfilling, even though her husband was falling short once again. And the third thing they say, refusing to accept the children that are almost always planned for them before reincarnation, they get entangled in the futilities and preconceptions of subpar experiences, only to wake up after the grave feeling coldness in their hearts. When we are going to gestate, the spirit that's going to come has been with us for a long time. It doesn't just happen. Oh, conception happens, that's it. Now we have a baby. No. In another book, we learn about the reincarnation of Segismundo. He had to come, and this is also Andre Luiz. He had to come. They had issues, him and the father, not yet the father, to be father. And there was a lot of rejection. They had to bring Segismundo close to the family, acquainting it, and the good spirits praying, the mother accepting to gestate that baby. The father, not so much. He was like, I don't want another. He was feeling until it happened. They agreed to it in the spiritual realm first. And then after that, Segismundo there's this picture of Segismundo laying as an adult and then being brought to the perispirit of a baby, right? He had to be small, 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 small. And then conception happened. And then the gestation. So the babies, the children, the ones to come and the ones here, they've been with us before we even thought about it consciously. Because we were meeting in the spiritual realm to accept that baby. And what happens when we don't accept it? The baby is there, waiting, the spirit. And we're saying, no, we don't want it. We're not going to have children. There are consequences. That's why this book is called Action and Reaction. In another book by that's too fast. Luz no Lar by Chico, there are several spirits that write through him in this book. But this specific text from Brother X, he said, children are not souls created at the moment of birth, according to the old affirmations of the organized priesthood. They are spiritual companions from ancient struggles to whom we pay sacred debts or from whom we receive pure joys for credits from another time. The institute of the family is a sublime crucible of purification and forgetting different author, but the same result. We know that if we came and in our reincarnatory plan, we're supposed to have children and we decide not to, there are consequences. Forever, no, we don't go burn in hell, we don't, right? We know that. It's not forever. It's just delaying our progress. And the question for us is, why delay? We are in a planet that is moving towards regeneration. So why wait? Why delay? We have the resources. We're talking about this. We're reading about it. We're thinking about it. So what is holding us back? And that's a question that is personal to us. There is no way for us to ask anybody. They might be able to talk us through it, but it's so personal to us and to what we feel we came to do in this reincarnation. In another book, In the Realms of Mediumship, again, Andre Luiz, he says, family represents a meeting of souls in the process of evolution, readjustment, spiritual growth, or sanctification. Men and women embracing marriage as a school of love and work to honor the commitments they assumed before the universal harmony transforms themselves into mediums for life itself, taking responsibility for the materialization of former friends and enemies who become their sons and daughters in the domestic sanctuary. We come to Spiritism. We want to see a medium. We want to see materialization. We want to see phenomena. And Andre Luiz says, you want to see phenomena? Having children is it. Mothers and fathers, as is he saying it, mediums for life itself. It is that spirit that we allow to reincarnate, we gestate them, and they come. And if we are together, there is a reason. He says, evolution, readjustment, spiritual growth, sanctification. And we can add, from now the book of action and reaction, sublimation. Also by Andre Luiz, right? 2 books by Andre Luiz. Sublimation of these feelings that we have. And it seems almost like we need to, so weird that to imagine that maybe our children, we were married to them. What? Because from the spiritual perspective, it's not the marriage that is the focus, but it's the affinity. It's our relationships with that we're building love. It's not about husband, wife, daughters, sons, or friends or enemies, but it's love. Andre Luiz says more. Lived out with dignity, fatherhood and motherhood are callings of the highest level for the reincarnate spirit, because through them, regeneration and progress are effectuated with security and clarity. So within our families today, we're saying, oh, I don't know what I came to do in this reincarnation. Well, we have the first answer. Within our family, we play a very important role. So if you don't know anything, I don't know, I'm lost. Okay, look within the family. That's your first answer, our answer. Relationship with parents, relationship with children, relationships with partners. Our answer is right there. Now we go to the second topic as part of this chapter. Also a hot topic. And we cannot talk about family and children without bringing the question of abortion. We talk about this all the time in Spiritism because we know it's a big no-no. It is a crime. Hilario and Andre Luiz also want to ask, what about abortion? Is it serious? The words are harsh that Mentor Silas used. To snatch a child from the maternal womb is confessed infanticide. Hard to hear, because when we look in our society, there are laws that, some places allow, some places don't allow. We're talking about women's right, our body's right. There's so much that goes into this. But according to Spiritism, there's no justification that will ever support abortion. Never. Infanticide. And to support this, we went to get Kardec, because we want to know what Kardec says about this too. He asked the good spirits. Imagine that this was a question back when Kardec was writing the Spirits book in the 1800s, 1857. He says, which is the first of all man's natural rights? What is the very first right that we have? The right to live. For that reason, no one has the right to make an attempt on the life of his fellow creature, so we killing someone, or to do anything that may compromise the latter's corporeal existence. Abortion. Because when we decide to abort, we're not allowing that soul to come to the material world, the corporeal existence. This is under the chapter of law of justice, love, and charity. Moral laws, divine laws, laws that we are all under, that we don't have a choice. Oh, I don't agree with this law, so it doesn't apply to me. That doesn't work. It is a law that applies to all of us, even if you don't know about it. Or say you don't know about it, because in reality, our conscience screams when we're doing something wrong. You might say, yeah, but I never read Kardec, so I didn't know the law existed. But our conscience will scream. One day it will, and that's when we're covered with guilt, consumed by remorse. And the reaction from that, the consequences of guilt and remorse on the afterlife, it's not a fun one. In the book Memoirs of a Suicide, there is a specific chapter that talks about the female element. And it demonstrates there, it shows a picture of the women that conduct abortion in the spiritual realm. They are received by Mary's team of doctors and nurses in the hospital. They are being supported and cared for. But their mental state is so problematic that they have to be in a room, each of them by themselves in solitary, like confinement. Because if they come out with the mental state that they find themselves, they can actually get everybody sick. That's how bad these women find themselves. And for us to remember, for every action, there is a reaction. Not only negative. A good action, good reaction. Bad action, bad reaction. So, what does abortion do? In the book, they'll go into several things, but they say it creates this predisposition to dolorous infirmities, diseases. They describe some of the diseases. But we can also imagine there would be something around the uterus, right? Because that is where we gestate the baby. So disease is there. And we're going to have to eventually repair through ennobling sacrifice. The reparation will happen no matter what. So we can avoid it. And we can also help others avoid it. We don't want anybody to fall into that mistake. Now that we know, we need to tell people if they find themselves and they're in desperate needs, what do we say? We say no abortion. No. We help. We bring them. We give them a book. We find assistance. We team up. But abortion is never, ever an option. This is the last part I'll read directly from the book. It says, the woman who willfully corrupted her reproductive center will in the future receive souls who have damaged their human shape, and she will be the mother of reincarnating criminals and suicides, regenerating the subtle energies of her spirit through the ennobling sacrifice for her tortured, unfortunate children, learning to pray, to serve worthily, and to mentalize a pure and healthy maternity, which she will regain at the cost of suffering and upright work. The action, abortion, the reaction, the reparation, which will require a lot of self-sacrifice. A lot of food for thought. The chapter is phenomenal. Go to it, read it, highlight it, reread it, because we need to understand this is a much deeper level than just an hour allows us to do so.
Thank you, Paloma. So beautiful. We're so blessed that we have all these books to clarify things. We wish everyone in society knew that this is life, because if they knew it, they would make better decisions. Hopefully we will too, for our own benefit. Friends, today we're being invited to love. There's only one thing that exists in this universe is love. Everything else is its absence. It's to love. Have goodwill to love. Goodwill to understand. Goodwill to learn. To help. Why not? It's important to think if death comes today. I was talking to friends about visiting Van Gogh's exhibit elsewhere, which is interesting. But I was sharing with them this morning when I was on Facebook checking a few things, and I saw the post about it. I went checking because they said there were open dates, and I saw an open date right on this morning, 11:30. I said, "Oh, I can't." Tomorrow, 4:30. No, we can't because we have to be at the center tomorrow at 6. And then on Thanksgiving Day, I said, and I was going to push buy tickets. But I always pray before I make decisions, Mentor Joseph said. It's very interesting, Vanessa, but what are your plans to reach out to people on Thanksgiving Day? Do you have plans? And I said, we will, but do you have them already? Why don't you plan that first? If you die today, visiting Van Gogh's exhibit's not going to change your life. But if you help people, it will. You talked about selfishness on Friday. You can push the button, buy the tickets, or find a better way to spend your money. I'm still meditating and sharing the reflection with you guys. Because the good spirits love us. They know when we're supposed to go back home to the spiritual realm. And they know each minute is precious. Each day, how many of our loved ones have already crossed over when they least expected. So many people in this world died during this pandemic, and we're still living as if life is forever, not in the physical realm. So today we're asked to make choices that are going to be important in immortality. Let us feel this call, feel the blessings as now we're going to go for the passes, okay, friends? For those who are over the internet, it's passes time, so I'll put a good screen. Yes, please, yeah. Do you think Isabella? Yeah, Isabella can stay there. Let us visualize the presence of the Mother of all mothers, Mother Mary, who loves us so much and works with our dear Master Jesus on earth. Let us feel her presence, loving and kind, and feel that from her heart and her hands, calming, soothing energies are being delivered to us. Let us trust the love of God through her loving care. Let us keep visualizing Mother Mary. Let us feel that she's offering to everyone here in the room a bouquet of lavender flowers. These flowers have healing remedies. Let us bring it close to our hearts and allow the vibrations and the energies, the perfume of the flowers to continue treating us, revitalizing us, empowering us to greater love. We keep visualizing the team of spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists that together with Mother Mary is present today to help us without distinction. And they kindly ask us to visualize that lavender bouquet of flowers in our homes, helping our home environment to be secure and sublime emotions and an invitation to goodwill. Let us keep visualizing Mother Mary with her loving, kind friends, and see that she's going to provide to us now the energies that we need to continue growing in her protection, in her guidance, humbling ourselves to the designs of God.
My mouth.
Alright, so let us prepare ourselves, feeling the presence of Master Jesus and Mother Mary, who are bringing to the liver a strengthening treatment unto us. Let us breathe in and out and feel the loving kindness that comes from We now invite everyone to join us in our final prayer. Dear Mother, Father God, we feel your presence and we hope to feel it every day, all the time. We no longer want to take for granted the resources that you've given us, for we've done it for so many lives. We're honored with your invitation of goodwill amongst ourselves so we can conquer peace as Master Jesus taught us. Thank you for guiding us, protecting us. Thank you for bringing us together once again. May we go back to our lives feeling empowered to good choices, good thoughts, good feelings, good words, and good actions. And may we have the courage to win over ourselves, creating new habits that are more selfless and deeply loving. With your permission, we conclude this session with deep gratitude, praising you for the miracles of life. And so be it.